The Robin Hood #3, The Sculptor's Gallery, part of the Beta storyline. Evergreen City had seen its share of crime. Robberies, corruption, violence, but this was different. The police found the first body in an abandoned art studio. Except it didn't look like a body. It looked like a statue, perfectly posed, cold, still, almost beautiful if you didn't look too closely. Then came the second, then the third, each one more detailed than the last. Each one staged like a piece in a gallery. The media gave him a name, Dr. Morcant Bell, the sculptor. High above the city, perched on a steel beam overlooking the streets, Robin Hood watched the crime scene below, silent, focused. This isn't random, he muttered. Later that night, inside the same abandoned district, Robin Hood moved through shadows, scanning the area. He had tracked a pattern. Victims, locations, timing. It all pointed to one place, an old warehouse. Lights on inside. Robin Hood slipped in through a broken window, quiet, controlled. What he saw, even he paused. Inside the warehouse, rows of statues, men, women, frozen in place, arranged like an exhibit. And in the center, a man stood carefully adjusting one of them, wearing gloves, a long coat, completely calm. Dr. Morcant Bell. He didn't turn around. I was wondering when someone like you would arrive, Bell said. Robin Hood stepped forward slightly. You've been busy. Bell smiled faintly. I create what others fail to see. He gestured to the room. Perfection, stillness, preservation. Robin Hood's voice hardened. They were people. Bell turned slowly. And now, they are more. Silence. Robin Hood raised his bow. Not anymore. Bell moved first. Faster than expected. He activated a device in his hand. A fine mist sprayed into the air. Robin Hood jumped back, covering his mouth. Careful, Bell said calmly. You wouldn't want to become part of the collection. Robin Hood fired an arrow. It cut through the mist, forcing Bell to move. The fight began. Bell used the environment, knocking over structures, releasing more of the chemical agent, trying to trap Robin Hood in confined space. Robin Hood countered with precision, firing arrows to ventilate the air, break apart structures, and control distance. Your art ends tonight, Robin Hood said. Bell smirked. Art never ends. He lunged, but Robin Hood was ready. A flash arrow blinded Bell momentarily. A grappling arrow pulled Robin Hood forward, and in one clean motion, he disarmed Bell and pinned him to the ground. The device rolled away. The mist cleared. Robin Hood stood over him. It's over. Bell looked up, strangely calm. You stopped me. A pause. But someone will understand my work. Robin Hood shook his head. No. Sirens approached. Minutes later, police flooded the warehouse, securing the scene and taking Bell into custody. One officer looked around, disturbed. This is sick. Robin Hood stood in the shadows. Yeah, he said quietly. It is. As the gallery was dismantled and victims were recovered, Robin Hood stepped back toward the darkness. Perched once again above the city, he looked out over Evergreen. This city doesn't just have criminals, he said to himself. It has monsters. He pulled his hood tighter. And I'll deal with every one of them. Then, he vanished into the night.
No.
The Robin Hood #4, Dead Silence, part of the Beta storyline. Evergreen City had gone quiet. Not peaceful quiet, wrong quiet. Downtown streets that were usually filled with noise, cars, voices, life, were silent. People moved in confusion, covering their ears, speaking but hearing nothing. Phones didn't work, sirens made no sound, even the wind felt muted. At the center of it all, a high-rise research facility. Dark, still, silent. Perched on a nearby rooftop, Silas Woodrow watched the building carefully. Robin Hood, he tapped a small device in his ear. Nothing, no signal, no sound. Of course, he muttered. He looked down at the city, people panicking, communication gone, control gone. This isn't random, he said quietly. Inside the facility, a man stood in a control room surrounded by strange technology, emitting faint, pulsing waves. Calm, composed, watching. Dr. Elias Vane, alias Whisper. Years ago, Vane had been a leading sound engineer. Brilliant, obsessive, forgotten. Until now. Back outside, Robin Hood moved, silent as ever. He entered through a side access point, navigating the dark hallways with precision. No alarms, no guards, just silence. Too easy. He stopped. Something felt off. A faint vibration hit the air. Not sound, but pressure. Robin Hood reacted instantly, dodging as a focused sonic pulse slammed into the wall behind him, cracking it like glass. From the shadows, Whisper stepped forward. "You rely on sound more than you realize," Vane said calmly. Though no sound carried, Robin Hood could feel the vibration of his voice. Robin Hood adjusted his stance. "Then I'll adapt." Whisper raised his hand. The room shifted. Sonic waves pulsed outward, distorting movement, balance, perception. Even without sound, the force hit hard. Robin Hood struggled to stay steady, firing an arrow, but the wave deflected it midair. Whisper tilted his head. "You can't fight what you can hear." Robin Hood steadied himself. Then he closed his eyes. Silence, total. He slowed his breathing, focused, then moved. Instead of reacting to sound, he read movement. Air shifts, body motion, intent. Another sonic blast came. Robin Hood rolled through it, firing a shock arrow directly into one of the sonic emitters. The room flickered. Whisper frowned slightly. Robin Hood kept moving, firing arrow after arrow, targeting the devices instead of the man. One by one, the emitters failed. The silence began to crack. Whisper rushed forward, desperate now. Robin Hood met him head-on. A quick exchange, precise, controlled. Then, a final arrow. It pinned Whisper's arm to a control panel, disabling the last of the system. Sound returned, sirens, distant voices, the city breathing again. Robin Hood stood over him. "It's over." Whisper looked up, calm again despite defeat. "Noise is chaos," he said quietly. "I gave them peace." Robin Hood shook his head. "You took away their world." Minutes later, police stormed the building, taking Dr. Elias Vane into custody. Outside, the city slowly came back to life. People talking, cars moving, sound returning. On a rooftop above it all, Robin Hood stood in silence. This time, the right kind. "Every criminal thinks they're fixing something," he said quietly. He looked out over Evergreen City. "They're not." With that, he disappeared into the night once more.
The stolen one anymore. Stolen. Naughty, no, naughty.
The Robin Hood #5, The Beast of Evergreen, part of the beta storyline. Evergreen City had faced killers before. Assassins, criminals, monsters hiding behind masks. But this was something else. 3 bodies, all found in different parts of the city. All trained professionals, private security, former military, each one taken down with brutal precision, no hesitation, no struggle. The only clue left behind, deep claw-like marks. The whispers spread quickly. There's something hunting people. Not someone. Across the city, inside a high-rise office, a terrified businessman spoke into a secure phone. "He's here. I know he is. You said he wouldn't." The line went dead. The lights flickered. Behind him, a shadow moved. Thud. By the time authorities arrived, he was already gone. High above the city, watching everything, Silas Woodrow, Robin Hood. He studied the reports, piecing it together. Not random. Not chaotic. Targeted. "An assassin," he muttered. A name surfaced through underground channels. Whispers from old intelligence circles. A ghost tied to foreign operations. Victor Drazen, alias the Beast. A former KGB operative, known for brutal efficiency, close combat specialization, enhanced conditioning. Some said not entirely human anymore. Robin Hood tightened his grip on his bow. "Then let's see what kind of beast you are." Night fell again. An abandoned shipping yard on the edge of the city. Cold, fog rolling in. Perfect place for a hunt. Robin Hood moved through the containers silently, tracking faint signs, footprints, damage, patterns of movement. Then, a low growl echoed through the darkness. Robin Hood stopped. "Found you." From the shadows, a massive figure stepped forward, scarred, broad, eyes cold and animalistic. Victor Drazen. He cracked his neck slowly. "You are Hunter," he said in a heavy accent. A pause. "I am better, Hunter." Then he charged. Fast. too fast for his size. Robin Hood barely dodged the first strike as Drazen slammed into a metal container, denting it like paper. Okay, not normal, Robin Hood muttered. He fired a series of arrows, precision shots aimed at weak points. Drazen deflected them. Some snapped on impact, others barely slowed him down. Drazen grabbed a crate and hurled it. Robin Hood flipped over it, landing behind him, firing a shock arrow into his back. Drazen growled, but didn't fall. Instead, he turned, angrier, stronger. You fight well, Drazen said. Now you die. He lunged again. Robin Hood switched tactics, speed, distance, control. He fired grappling arrows, pulling himself upward, forcing Drazen to follow through tight spaces between containers, limiting his movement, reducing his strength advantage. Come on, Robin Hood taunted. Keep up. Drazen roared and smashed through obstacles instead of going around them. That's what Robin Hood wanted. He led him into a narrow corridor between stacked containers, prepped, ready. End of the line, Robin Hood said. Drazen charged. Robin Hood fired 3 arrows at once, explosive. Flash. Shock. Boom. The confined space amplified the blast. Drazen staggered. Just enough. Robin Hood moved instantly, disarming him, taking his legs out, pinning him down with reinforced arrows through his armor and into the ground. Drazen struggled, but couldn't break free. Silence fell. Robin Hood stood over him. You're done. Drazen looked up, breathing heavy. You are strong, he admitted. A pause. But there are worse than me. Robin Hood didn't respond, but he remembered that. Sirens approached. Police arrived, securing the area and taking Victor Drazen into custody under heavy restraint. One officer looked at the damage around them. What even is this guy? Robin Hood turned away. A problem, he said. Not anymore. Back on a rooftop overlooking the city, Robin Hood stood alone once more. Assassins, killers, foreign threats. Evergreen City wasn't just dealing with local crime anymore. It was becoming something bigger, more dangerous. Robin Hood pulled an arrow from his quiver, examining it briefly before putting it back. Let them come, he said quietly, then vanished into the night.